Hello, my child. It is I, Illuminati magician, here with a magic spell of my mystical words to put you in a straight state of trance. Now imagine a big triangle. Imagine a big triangle lighting up your vision and filling it to the brim with Illuminati essence. And you can see all things at all times. And your third eye is totally active. And you're able to see through the veil and the illusion and cut through the darkness into the light. Now that's what I'm offering to you, a chance to cut through the darkness. And this is very important. Sometimes the best strategy in keeping the people in line is divide and conquer. And you see this through the right-left paradigm. Now, what is the right-left paradigm? The right-left paradigm is, accepting all the arguments on one side and ignoring the other side, or accepting all the arguments on the other side and ignoring your side. So it's actually a brain thing. It's related to the mind and how the hemispheres work. So you receive fragmented information. Like, for example, my left eye sees my right side of my vision. And my right eye is controlled by my left brain, right? So you see that different brain dichotomy and duality built in to the system itself. Now, I'm trying to transcend duality, but that can be a little bit boring because you don't have much to say when you're really in touch with your inner teacher. Now, I'm going to explain to you what gnosis is. Now, gnosis is knowing. You know something is true versus you learned it or you were told it. Now, a lot of the times, you'll have a gut instinct, and it'll tell you, like, hey, I should stay out of this situation. Hey, I should, go with that person, or don't go with that person, or, and there's a connection between the gut and the mind. So your gut, your neuron literally has your gut literally has neurons in it that process information and send them back to your mind and help you to assess threats and difficult, potentially dangerous situations, or potentially beneficial. And this is where we get the synchronicities. Like, you run into the right person at the right time, and you're like, you think to yourself, like, that looks like a really cool guy. He's got great energy. I'm gonna go chill with him, and that's where that gut instinct comes from. It literally comes from your gut, the neurons in your gut telling you that, hey, this is a dangerous person, look out, or hey, this is a good person, speak more, or I guess, I don't know. So, yeah, but Mark Carney's going to set up the New World Order, and things are going to be great, and things are really going to change. This is the year of authoritarian oppression. This is when the fascist dictatorship starts taking place. And they're not going to say it's fascist, but it is. So, yeah, so that's going to be happening this year. Apparently, they have a number of different projects coming out soon, such as the digital ID card, and probably like carbon footprint bullshit and all this other stuff. And so there's going to be a number of different programs being launched this year, and the climate is changing. I guess it's kind of cold outside with a record storm hitting America and sending Texas into like -50, like the coldest storm of the century, which totally missed Canada, by the way, which is a great thing because I don't feel like shoveling. I'm sick of shoveling. We need more global warming, not climate change, but global warming. We need global warming. Like, I don't want to shovel snow. I don't want to walk out in the cold. I don't want to scrape off ice off a car. These are all bullshit actions that we don't have to take if we just pollute more. We just need to pollute more. We just need, more global warming, because that's actually a good thing. If, like, some island in Malaysia floods, then I don't really care if it means that I can go outside and not be in bone-chilling, freezing cold, So, yeah. And I think the main thing is like, people don't understand the power of words and the power of magic and the power of speech and how important being discerning is, and knowing. It's back to gnosis. Gnosis is knowing, like knowing something to be true. And it comes from the gut. It comes from the heart. And that's the heart-brain coherence. But then it also comes from the pineal gland. So each one of these systems functions in a different way. And each one of these systems will be for a different situation. So, for example, the gut will typically be a danger sensor. The heart will be typically uh, like a good situation sensor, and the pineal gland is designed to be a stargate into different worlds, and for you to help you see into different worlds. And that's the meaning behind the Illuminati pyramid. Is the pineal gland is the stargate. That's why they go to such great lengths to silence it and trap it. And that's the first place that the reptilians attack. The reptilians want to trap your third eye, your pineal gland. You'll see all these videos on YouTube like, oh, wake your pineal gland or use this frequency, and it'll put you on a spiritually higher level than everyone else. And like, that's the lie. That's the lie that, the certain malevolent extraterrestrial organizations have been, putting out into the universe. So your pineal gland is very important, and they're attacking it on every level. And the pineal gland is one of the only parts of the brain that's located in both hemispheres. So it's like a stargate of information, a swirling vortex of information, and it's very powerful. And the controllers know this, and the reptilians know this, and that's why they attack your pineal gland. And that's why they try to cloud your vision, and that's why they try to make you see things in a distorted way. Because if they can conquer your brain and keep your brain separate from your soul, then you won't have access to those higher archives of information that you might otherwise have. In addition, a lot of all those spiritual healing or third eye awakenings on YouTube are actually designed to keep you in a state of servitude. Like fractals, for example. If fractals can liberate you, fractals can also trap you. And but your pineal gland is a stargate with infinite access and infinite awareness and infinite oneness, and it processes all the data from your brain in the stargate, which has access to higher dimensions. Now, what are the other dimensions? You might wonder, what are the other dimensions? How does it work? Well, the fourth dimension is time, so all you throughout your whole life, different times, different things you were doing, different experiences you had that you've done over the years, right? And apparently they have this other reality that runs backwards. So you'd be doing everything in reverse. Like you brush your teeth, and you'd be brushing your teeth and putting your toothbrush, like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to think about that time would be completely reversed in this other dimension. And that was some of the classified information I got before I was sent into a state of amnesia, as it were. But but the thing about time is a lot of people think, oh, it's gonna be great. There'll be multiple versions of me, multiple different realities, blah 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 blah. Oh, there's like a league of I don't want to say my real name for security purposes, but a league of Illuminati magicians just running around causing havoc across the timelines. But then if you think about that, if your parents had you at like 10 minutes later, you'd be a completely different person. You'd be a different, or a month later. Say your parents met a month later, you'd be a completely different person. I wouldn't be me. So the time, place, and circumstances of your birth contribute to your timeline. Like maybe it was destined to happen, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just a random accident. Who knows? Maybe it was, two kindred souls or whatever. But depending on the circumstances of your birth, like if it wasn't meant to happen and you were just an accident, then there's probably not very many other versions of you running around. Like, for example, you take a look at Rick and Morty. He's got a council of Ricks, and they're all different versions of him, and they're all exactly the same, and they're all Rick Sanchez. No, you'd be in a different place with a different name, different things about you, things like that, you'd be a totally different person, right? And they'd all exist simultaneously across like the world, or they're all possibilities. And that brings me to the fifth dimension, which is possibilities. So let's say you drive down the street and you turn left and you get smoked by a truck and you die. Okay? So that's the fifth dimension. That's one possibility. Now let's say you went right and you went down the street and you hit a stop sign and you stopped and everything went fine. You got to your destination safely, right? That's another possibility. The pineal gland has the ability to access this higher dimensional information, but it has no way to explain it. Sometimes it's hard for the information to be relayed like logically as the information arrives, making it useful to you among your daily travels. So if you could access that higher dimensional information and turn right instead of turning left and avoid that car wreck, then that would be useful information. But often with mental illness, especially, and with higher planes of trying to comprehend the data of higher dimensions, some of it can become overwhelming. You can get overwhelmed. And like some of it is useless information. Let me tell you something about schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, a lot of the information is useless. It's other people's delusions. It's other, cognitive, looks into like random people's psychology and stuff that doesn't provide any useful or applicable data. Now, if you had a way to access that pineal gland and sift through the useless data and just focus on what's important, like, okay, I smoke this joint and I get locked up for a year. That's a bad choice. If I go with that person, I'll smoke this joint and get locked up for a year. Well, that's not a good choice. Or if if I drink this drink, then I'll end up passed out in the snow and I'll freeze to death or whatever. That's useful information. That's information that you need to know. So that usually that survival information usually comes from your gut, but that multidimensional information comes from your pineal gland. It's just a matter of sifting through the useless data and sifting through the delusions and finding out what's useful and what's applicable to your day-to-day life and how that applies to you. So a lot of the times, I'll make a decision and I'll know the consequences beforehand, or I'll know what's going to happen, and then choose to disregard my own soul. You know what I mean? I've been conditioned and gaslit to believe that my multidimensional awareness is invalid, that these insights I have into the near future are invalid or something like that. Now, I'll tell you a story about my friend named Logan. I used to have a friend named Logan, and he was walking down the street or whatever. We would skateboard all the time, and he ended up going into the street, and then he got out of this. He had a sudden urge to get out of the street, and he got out of the street, and then a car came whipping by, and it would have killed him in that instant if he hadn't moved. Now, he listened to his intuition. He's like my little brother at the time. I was like 15, he was like 13. We'd play video games and hang out and stuff, but he was like my little brother. And the thing was, he did wind up getting killed by a car in the end, but rest in peace, Logan. You're off in another dimension kicking ass. I just know it. Because, it's kind of like my little brother back in the day, but yeah. But that multidimensional awareness, like the fact that he escaped death once, and the thing was, I was the exact opposite. I'd run into traffic and I'd stop traffic, but I'd be fast. Like when I jaywalked, I went all out. Like I'm like gonna get across the street quickly as possible so I don't get hit by a car. And like common sense is lost nowadays. Most people don't even look from side to side. But like, I think the main purpose of this video is that the pineal gland is powerful, and you can access higher multidimensional levels of awareness. But sifting through all that data and focusing on what's useful and what's relevant versus what's irrational and irrelevant is a hard job. And that's where the New World Order can help you. And that's where the spiritual, not the spiritual gurus you find now in the New Age, but the spiritual gurus that actually worth their salt can help you do, is translate that random access memory into useful information that's applicable for your life, that can help you survive and help you to make good choices that will lead to positive outcomes, right? So I hope that makes sense to you, and that's just me So let's recap a little bit. That's the fourth dimension is time. You wouldn't be the same person if you were born a month later. There's not a League of Dusties running around there somewhere. In other versions of Earth, maybe humans don't even exist, and it's all like fucking sulfur and brimstone and volcanoes or storms or whatever else. This is the moment that you have. This is the moment you've been given. So cherish it. Cherish it every day. Think. I don't want to say the G word because that's a little bit controversial for YouTube, but think certain spiritual forces, spirits, or whatever you're into, that you have another day on this earth and you've been blessed with the gift of oxygen. Now, I have a friend that once said that, oxygen is a gift from God. But, and maybe it is. Like, there's places where, it's smog and there's, dangerous chemicals in the air and you can't breathe and all this other stuff. And, we got the other things like that. But yeah, that's some of my video. And then the gut instinct, this is a recap, right? So the gut instinct is like survival. The heart instinct, heart-brain coherence is like connection. And then the pineal gland is multidimensional modeling and information relating. But a lot of it, comes in the form of overwhelming information. So for you to make use of that data, you need to, sift out all the bullshit, the collective conscious residue, the collective delusions, the irrational thoughts. You have to sort through the irrational data and get to what's important for your survival and for your flourishment, and to attract positive situations and repel potentially dangerous situations. And that's what this is all about, is becoming a living conduit. Even if you're an NPC, like I might be an NPC, I might not be an NPC. I don't even know. But it's just a little bit to think about. Maybe this has gone on a little bit too long video, but yeah, that's just my 2 cents as an Illuminati magician. You can think about it and let it coalesce in your consciousness a little bit, and hopefully that maybe provides some much needed insight about how the brain works and how the soul works and how the heart works and how the gut works. Okay, well, anyways, signing off. Peace the fuck out. That's totally a ripoff of TAA, but whatever. I'm going with it anyways. Peace out. Hope you have a blessed day.